everybody. Thank you for having me today. I think I will just do the presentation in a mix between sometimes I'll probably switch to Bahasa Indonesia, but I'll try to keep in English just to make it more neutral for everyone. Um, so my name is Panji, as you mentioned. I'm currently working in Visa Indonesia in Yogyakarta with Mas Asman and also with Mimi and Ashraf here as a data analyst, although most of my time actually work as I mostly work managing and coordinating the data collection effort in LIFA programs. I will not explain it too much. You can feel free to find our program in our website. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I will try to explain a little bit about data management um, for your bioacoustic data. So, first of all, I would like to know how many of you already started collecting data or started to, or at least trying out your Swift One recorders. Just give me a thumbs up if you already done that. So thumbs up if you already done data collections, and maybe a smiley if you only done testing Swift One recorders. Would like to know. Oh, so it's not showing in my. Sorry, I don't think it's showing in my Zoom. That's why. Is there a lot of people already, June? Okay, this is awkward. Um. Anyway, now that some of you might already have some biopsy data, we need to know how to actually store it properly. And make sure that it will be safe until the time has come for your analysis and beyond. So the whole presentations tonight actually can be summarized in one sentence. Pick up your data, pick up your data, pick up your data, pick up your data, pick up your data. And that's it from me. Thank you and good night. Just kidding. So this is the most important thing that you need to put in your mindset. I'm surprised, really surprised that this is very basic, but sometimes people really underestimate how important it is to have second, third, or even fourth backup. And even when I do that, many people still give comments like, "Why do you have like three sets of that of backup where when two is enough?" Like, but I have heard many horror stories, not just bioacoustic data, but a lot of research data that people collect for months, weeks, months, or even years. They just gone because they don't have enough backup. So we will talk a little bit about how to do the backup more efficiently and make sure that you have all the tools and yeah, all the tools needed to organize your data of the still one backup. Okay, so why data management is important? So obviously, why we need backups? We want to prevent loss of valuable recordings, and also want to facilitate a better, efficient way to store, but also to retrieve and share all data. So if your data is unorganized and you don't really have a good management system for your data, it will be difficult for you to retrieve whenever you need it or even share it to your teams or beyond your teams. It's also preserve critical metadata encoding context. We'll go through it after this and also ensures recording remain useful for future studies and long-term monitoring. So, for this last bit, I heard stories from Ben Gotzman, really amazing story about how the Kelly Sayang Center they already have a lot of data stored from decades ago, like 30 or 40 years ago, right, Ben? Thumbs up if it's correct. Um, and you can imagine how big the data will be, but they can still use it. They can still easily find it because they have a well organized system for their data. So this is why data management is not only useful for you now or in the near future, but it's also useful for even probably beyond your lifetime in the future. So we'll talk about it a bit more later on. So this is a small summary, the pipeline about the data applications. Basically, once you got your SD cards back from the field, you have to copy and pass it the WIFI file to the first external drive, and then you'll do the rename and will be converted to FLAC. I will explain about this a bit later. This just to give you a bit of image on how the pipeline is supposed to be. So at the end of the day, you'll have, I don't know if you can see the laser. You have one, two, and three backup per data. The first one should be in the original WAV files. Again, I'll explain a bit more later. And then you'll have two backups in FLAC files, which is a bit more smaller size. And then you will also, at the end of the day, you have an empty SD card that you can use for another deployment, or if you are backing up your data in the middle of deployments, we can continue your deployment again. And then, oops, how do I continue? Oops, why do I still have that? Clear all my drawings. There you go. And then how to keep track of your data. So imagine when you retrieve your files, you'll have thousands and thousands of recordings depending on how you set up the recordings. In some cases, probably you'll have say 10 minutes recording for yeah 10 minutes file for 24, and they will result in a lot of files, and sometimes it will be difficult to know the context of that file if you don't have a good system to keep the file names that. Sorry, this thing just went off and it's just screaming battle log to me. Let me switch for a bit. Sorry. Let me switch this for a bit. Okay, I hope you still there. I hope you can still see the station. So, how to keep track of data? Uh, one thing to uh, one thing to take note is for every team, I will advise you to have one person responsible to organize your data. It will be way easier if you have one dedicated person that understands all the structures, the folder structures, where you put it, how many backups. Then if you divide the task to everybody in your teams and have everybody, probably there will be some people have different ideas on how to organize it in the folders and stuff like that. So starting from now, try to find um, somebody willing to be blamed if something happened to your data. So yeah, find a victim in your team to be someone responsible for the data, and whoever chosen, congratulations, you become the most responsible persons in your team right now. Um, and then if when you got your data from the uh, Swift One recorders, you will have it it will contain some basic informations, most likely the date and the time of the recordings. But sometimes when you start to do lots of backups, this can be confusing, especially when you start to mix up some folders. You probably there is a risk of losing tracks of which file coming from which recorders, coming from which sites. So renaming your file will be very important. So there is one example here, file naming convention from Young Center. They have um,
the institution name, and then sample weight, and then the number of site, the ID of your recorders, and then installation date and installation time. Um, and then it will after that the recording time at the end. Um, I'm pretty sure there is no convention on the folder yet for bit program. Or is it a naming convention yet for the bit program? Mimi, thumbs up if there is. Okay. So this is some of the example of the convention that for the file names, but for the folders, you can also this is just one example. What I do usually is to group the file into one folders for each RU unit or for each record stations, and then it will be organized under one deployment and then one site and then the project. So like for this one, probably folder beat and going to say Jatimulyo, deployment number one, and then record station number one, something like that. And then for data applications, make sure that um, you don't edit your original data. So that's why you always keep one backup in original files in WAV just in case something happens during the conversions, something like that. And trust me, copy, do not cut. I know some people might take a shortcut to cut the files instead of copy it, but something can happen in the middle of the moving of the files, and it's way safer to spend a little bit of time to copy the file into another folders and then delete the original file afterwards. And then also make sure that your data are organized and saved before analysis. And also consider possible of data loss and replicate data accordingly. Sorry. And lately, we also have the digital world is not really safe with all the malwares that has been circulating in the internet. So um if you have a laptop or device that might possibly, for example, you are using some if you are using some unofficial software or something like that. I mean, honestly, we all do that. We all have unofficial softwares, but be careful. It might contain malwares. Just be careful that it can also affect the same storage type, even if it's stored in different locations. So just be mindful of that. And then when I'm about to copy, so I was supposed to put an image here of me doing data management in the middle of the field, but I didn't find that photos, but it doesn't end well because the I was doing it in the middle of the forest, but then my laptop die out, so it doesn't copy perfectly, and I don't know where if there's any code files in the middle of the copying progress. So just to make sure that if you are using laptops and you know that your laptop is not doing well in terms of battery life, make sure that you plug your laptops. That's one advice that I can give you based on my experience. And then also make backup copies in an environment where you can ensure the safe or transfer data. So don't do it in the middle of the rainforest or in the middle of the swamp if you or mangrove if you are deploying your recorders there. Take your cards, bring somewhere safe, and then do um, backups. And then always make two copies before deleting or using media. And then one another thing that people often skip is to check whether they already copy the entirety of your data. So always check the size of your entire data before you copy it to the other folders. So make sure after the copy progress has been happening, make sure that you in the destination folders, it's exactly the same size as your original folders. So make sure that you got all the data in the new folders, especially if you want to deleting the original data after that. So this is very important. Um, it only take few minutes or a few seconds even, but many people surprisingly still skip that just to make it faster. And once again, copy, don't cut. Just always it only it only costs you a few minutes to copy and then delete the original files, but it will save you all the hassles if something happens in the middle. Okay, now moving on how much storage do you need? I'm pretty sure we everybody got the some explanations about sample rate from the last session. So this is just a refreshments. Um, so obviously, when you want to back up your data, you need a storage big enough to contain all your data. And the size of your data can depends on how long are you recording. So I'm pretty sure in the last sessions you have learned about some recording cycles in Swift ones. You can record continuously. You can cut the files into 10 minutes or 5 minutes, or you can also cycle it between sleep and probably like 4 minutes on and then 1 minute off. Um, that can all these considerations can affect the size of your data at the end. So I'm pretty sure in the Swift one configuration software, it will show you how much data that you will get at the end, right? Or is it coming from different software?
At least for each file.
Okay, at least for each file. Okay. So at least you can estimate how much you will get at the end if you deploy the recorders for a month or something like that. And also remember the higher the sampling rate, the bigger the data will be. And also the compression of the files. We'll go into that in a second. So this is just some cheat sheet on how much data that you will get um, in WAV format. So again, the bigger the sample rate, the bigger the data will be for 1 minute, and it will eventually contribute to the entirety of your data. So that's why it's very important to find a good balance between a good sample rate for your intended use for your target species and also the availability of your storage. Now it's a bit explanation about file compression. So um, probably most of you already familiar with WAV, which is or WAV, which is the raw data that you get from your recorders. So basically, the WAV files is all the information that your mic records and translate into digital formats. And it contains all information from each time frame. So every milliseconds, it will have a code for it, and then it will translate it into digital code that will be translated back into sound. And it will because of that, it will have usually large size collectively. So from this is the presentation from bit last year, and they have analogy for it as a full hard box. I would like to make a slightly different analogy to these lyrics from Eminem "Lost Yourself." So this is a very I'm pretty sure some of you already familiar with these lyrics from this song. And then we have the lossless compression. So in order to save your storage, we will need to convert your data into more manageable size. And there's two type of compressions. There's lossless and lossy compressions. So lossless completion is basically it shorten the informations, the code, the digital code in your files without removing the context or the information within it. This can save up the, depending on the settings, this can save up the storage up to 50% smaller than WAV files, and it can be converted back uncompressed with the entire information. So, for examples, this is just a rough analogy. In these versions, the lyrics it remove all the spaces and all the punctuations, but you can still understand the informations and you can easily translate it back to the original lyrics without affecting the meaning. You got all the information back, but this is slightly shorter versions. You lose some characters count, um, but you can easily translate it back to the original raw data. And then there's also Lucy compressions. So, for example, the MP3, that's like one of the most commons. This can make the file size really, really small, up to 10%, but it will remove information assumed to be not important. So, for example, here, the card box is being broken up, or in the lyrics, it's just, you don't have to make it beautiful. You just need the information that Eminem is so nervous he throws up. But we don't know what kind of food that he throws up into his, and where he throws up. Does he throw up some pizza or lasagna? We don't know. Why he's so nervous? What's the sign? We don't know. So all this subtle information is lost forever. So for bioacoustic data, it will always better to have lossless comparisons in FLAC instead of loosey compression like MP3. I'm really glad with that analogy that I have here. I know that you are smiling. And then moving on how to choose your storage. Obviously, there is several considerations that you can make to choose what type of storage that you can use based on the price, portability, lifespan or durability, maintenance requirements, ease of access, and ease of use. So in general, there are two types of storage. There's offline storage. So this could be SSD or HDD, and also the network storage like NAS. I forget the long version of that. Or cloud storage. I think for bit program in these scales, you don't have to worry too much on the network storage. I think it will be more. I think your data can be managed easily in offline storage, but once you scale up, once you have bigger teams and different analysis strategy, for examples, your data is so big that you need to divide the text between persons, then it's worth to look into this network storage just to make it, oh, I have typo there, sorry. Yes, just to make it easier to share. They also have auto backup options for some of the, especially for cloud. Almost guarantee. I will not say it's guarantee, but almost guarantee your data will be safe as long as you are paying them. But there's always ways like if your account get hacked or something like that. But in general, they are safer from damage, especially physical damage. But let's go straight to the offline storage. So here I already mentioned about hard disk and SSD. So I think some of you, many of you are already familiar with the difference between these two. So obviously the most common and cheap options right now are the hard disk drive. The price has been really weird the last few months or the last few years because of all the things happening in the world. But in general, this is still the cheapest options and the easiest. And but it comes with a price. The lifespan can be short because It's analog. It's using moving parts. So there is a physical disk inside. Yes, Sin.
Sorry, I just wanted to let everybody know. Recently, I had a lot of HDDs were failing on a unusually regular basis, and I found out that all of the hard drives I had been buying were KW. They were fake hard drives. So if you are buying hard drives on Shopee, make sure that you are ordering from a official mall store. That's really important. And like the drives that I were buying were not particularly cheap. Like some of them were, 600, 800 ribu. But then when I looked at an official store, it turned out the exact same drive was like 2 juta. Yeah. And so then I realized, oh, it turns out these are very well made fakes. You cannot tell the difference, and they work totally fine. Um, but once you try and do a large data transfer, like a big backup that takes hours or something like that, usually that's when they can't handle it anymore. And I know there are a lot of refurbished drives as well, but that was not the case here because I ended up going full detective and looking deeply into it. Um, so just a warning, if you're buying a drive, buy from the ones on Shopee that are marked Ori or Mall, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sin. That's a very, very good advice and very good information. I was just about to mention about the refurbished or the second-hand hard drive. I know the price can be lucrative. It could be quite cheap, especially when you know it's second-hand. But just to remember this, that the hard drive, they are using mechanical part, and this mechanical part can fail. It's moving, and everything that move will eventually there will be some wears in there. So eventually it will start to slow down, and eventually you will find some problems show up. In good drive, the original one, it might take 5 year, probably even it could be even safer for more than 5 year if you use it sparingly. But just keep in mind that they have last lifespan. And then next. So again, disadvantage, this can be prone to failure, especially if you um, remember that because they have moving part, you need to make sure that it stays still. And whenever you do anything with your files, make sure you are in the stable positions if you are using hard drive. Requires regular maintenance as well. Although honestly, I never maintain my hard drive, but just keep in mind if you want it to run longer, then you need to maintain it. So, and then also but again, it's like the most the cheapest options that you have. It's portables and it can easily pass within a team. Next one is the solid state drive. So these have all the thing that the hard drive um you have the benefit that fix the weakness of the hard drive um because it doesn't have any moving parts. It usually can last longer, lower failure rates and energy use, and also faster data access, up to 3 or even 10 times than the original than the hard drive, because you don't need to in hard drive, especially in the good one. What they do to make it faster, actually to spin it faster, which actually makes it more prone to failures. In SSD, it doesn't happen, so it's safer. And then just a little bit about drive format. So some of you might already familiar with this. So in especially when you are using external drive, like external hard disk or external SSD, it will come in exFAT, which is about an example of unjournaled file systems. The benefit of this file system is that you can use it in both Windows and Macs and Linux. Uh, but the problem is it doesn't keep track of what being done to the file. So if something happened in the middle of copying or something like that, they will be more prone to the corruptions, the corrupted files. Um, just want to know how many of you are actually using Mac in Bitya 3. Can you give thumbs up if you're using Mac? Yeah, is it a lot of people? June? Okay. How many are using Windows? Is it more than Mac? Okay. I can't see you guys, but I assume
Windows for the win.
Windows for the win. Okay. Um, so if you are using Windows and you know that everyone in your team are using Windows, or you have access to Windows, we'll advise you to use NTFS, which is the journal file systems, which keep track on what being done to the files. So if something happened during moving files or like power loss or improper drive removals, there's a better chance that your file will survive. Okay, and then so it's just a recap of the storage comparisons. Based on this, which one that you think will be the best for bioacoustic data? Can you give thumbs up, or can you just type it in the chat? Okay, and that's all for my presentations. I'll give it back to June. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Panji, for the clear and detailed presentation. Before we move on to the next session, does anyone have any question? Feel free to raise your hand or type your question in chat, yeah? Okay, all right. All right, if there is no question, we'll continue to our next presentation. In this presentation, we're gonna learn more about data replication, ref and compass, and file naming conventions, and which will be explained in detail by our trainer, Esther Adinda. Esther, please go ahead.
Thank you, Jun. Terima kasih Kang Panji juga. Di sini aku mau jelasinnya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia aja. Untuk teman-teman yang sekiranya butuh bantuan bisa menyalakan transkripsinya. Oke. Terima kasih. Jadi di sini aku mau jelasin agak lebih dalam mengenai data management dan drive and compass. Tadi sebenarnya untuk beberapa banyak poin udah dijelaskan oleh Panji, dan di sini akan aku tambahkan aja sedikit-sedikit. Tadi udah dibahas mengenai outline-nya, dan dari sini kita mau bahas mengenai data storage and replication, di mana untuk store datanya, bagaimana untuk replicate datanya, gimana untuk nge-keep track dari datanya, dan tadi juga udah di-mention kenapa data management itu penting, karena data management itu satu part yang krusial, terutama dalam bioakustik. Kita memiliki rekaman yang isinya mungkin vokalisasi dari hewan-hewan yang kita teliti, atau kompleks soundscape data yang kemudian mau kita analisis juga. Jadi seperti yang Panji bilang tadi juga, kalau data storage yang kurang baik atau pengorganisasian data yang kurang baik itu bisa menuju ke kehilangan data, terutama rekaman, karena rekamannya nggak bakal bisa keulang lagi, dan itu nggak bakal bisa, informasinya akan beda dengan mungkin yang nanti akan diambil. Jadi itu penting banget untuk bisa memanage data. Tadi juga udah dijelasin sama Panji bahwa tiap dari data storage itu punya kelebihan dan kekurangannya masing-masing. Dari hard drive, dari SSD, dari NAS, dari cloud, mengenai stabilitasnya seperti apa, kemudahannya untuk sharing, perlu banyak maintenance atau enggak, jangka panjang dia bisa dipakai sejauh apa, kemudian dari harga. Di sini mungkin teman-teman banyaknya pakai hard disk dan SSD, dan mungkin ke depannya kalau misalnya pun ada kesempatan mungkin bisa pakai cloud, karena di sini untuk dari segi stabilitas, kemudahan untuk sharing, maintenance, lifespan juga itu cloud yang menang. Dan tadi juga udah dimention seberapa banyak atau seberapa besar penyimpanan data yang dibutuhkan. Ini tergantung dari 3 aspek ini. Seberapa lama teman-teman mau merekam, seberapa besar sampling rate-nya, apakah dalam hertz atau dalam kilohertz. Tadi sampling rate juga udah dimention oleh Panji, refreshment dari session kita yang sebelum-sebelumnya, bahwa semakin besar sampling rate, maka semakin besar juga recordingnya, data yang keambilnya, semakin luas range frekuensi yang bisa diambil dari rekaman suara itu. Dan apakah teman-teman bisa nge-compress filenya atau enggak. Ini tadi juga udah di-mention, ini sebagai salah satu contoh aja, bahwa misalnya dalam waktu 1 menit, teman-teman merekam untuk sampling rate 4 kHz, itu hanya 0,5 megabyte. Tapi ketika udah 1 jam, jadi 30 megabyte. Dalam 1 hari, bisa jadi 0,7 giga, dan dalam 1 tahun secara kontinu, untuk 4 kHz aja udah 0,25 tera. Semakin tinggi sample rate-nya tadi, semakin besar suara juga, range suara yang bisa kita ambil, semakin besar juga ukuran filenya. Contoh untuk 96 kHz, dalam 1 menit, dia bisa 11,5 mega. Dan dalam 1 tahun, secara continuous, itu udah jadi 6 tera. Nah, di sini, aku mau ngajak teman-teman buat latihan sedikit. Karena ini nanti akan kepakai banget untuk teman-teman ketika implementasi atau pemasangan si alat perekam. Jadi, teman-teman boleh ambil pulpen, kertas, atau buka Excel file biar bisa cepet ngitung kalkulator. Di sini, misalnya teman-teman punya 8 unit perekam. Dan teman-teman merekam secara continuous selama 1 tahun untuk sample rate 48 kHz. Teman-teman boleh hitung berapa besar data storage yang dibutuhkan. Atau misalnya berapa total, pertama, berapa total dari rekamannya. Kedua, berapa besar storage yang teman-teman butuhin. Aku kasih waktu sebentar, dan kalau misalnya teman-teman udah nemu jawabannya, boleh tulis di chat. Ini untuk contohnya, jadi 48 kHz itu, misalnya 1 menit ada 5,8 mega. 1 tahun, 3 tera. Berapa aja teman-teman?
Oh, berarti ini setahun ya?
Mhm. Untuk
Oke.
8 unit rekaman.
Oke,
Udah ada yang jawab 24
kali
tera.
1 tahun 365. 24,2.
Kurang lebih, iya benar. 24 tera. Dan
Oh, semua juga.
benar, ada Sean
There's a
tadi
hint at the
mention,
bottom of the slide now.
yep, and Sean already mentioned it. 2 backups come to 72 terabyte. Oke, mantap. Terima kasih teman-teman. Kalau untuk yang 2 copies, ada yang mau jawab lagi kah? Ini chatku nggak nutupin layar kan? Apa nutupin ya? Oke, Yap, thank you so much, Ben. Jadi benar jawabannya teman-teman, 48 tera per tahun, dan itu sangat besar. Um, Kebayang nggak butuh berapa hard disk, SSD, cloud, dan itu semua agak pricey. Tadi juga Sean udah mention bahwa memang harganya tidak semurah itu. Tapi di sini kita punya um, aplikasi yang sangat menarik, aplikasi yang sangat membantu. Uh, dan seperti yang tadi Panji bilang bahwa ada cara untuk mengkompres dari wave file menjadi FLAC file, dan itu menggunakan Raven Compass. Um, untuk Raven Compass nanti trainingnya akan ada di breakout room, nanti akan dibantu oleh mentor juga. Sementara aku jelasin dulu bagaimana cara replicate data, dan ini sebenarnya udah banyak di cover oleh Panji juga tadi, bahwa jangan langsung menganalisis atau mengedit data-data yang udah diambil. Copy dulu filenya, kemudian baru bisa dipakai untuk analisis. Dan juga pastikan bahwa data-data itu nggak hilang, apalagi ketika lagi dalam proses copying atau backup. Kemudian pastikan juga bahwa teman-teman barang-barangnya aman dari segala macam bentuk keteledoran, teledor menaruh makanan minuman di tempat teman-teman backup data, atau yang tadi Panji bilang bahwa baterainya low, kemudian nanti dia tiba-tiba ngekat. Jadi teman-teman make sure bahwa untuk pemindahan data itu memang sudah settle, sudah baik kondisinya, dan tidak ada gangguan lainnya. Kemudian sebisa mungkin kalau misalnya di lapangan cari yang paling aman, tapi memang lapangan bukan tempat yang paling bagus untuk backup data. Jadi perlu dipastikan bahwa teman-teman mengcopy, nge-backup data itu di tempat yang paling aman. Karena balik lagi kalau misalnya teman-teman udah ngambil data selama 1 bulan, kemudian di backup gagal, entah jadi korup atau misalnya rusak datanya, itu kan sangat sayang banget ya. Apalagi teman-teman misalnya tempatnya remote atau tempatnya lebih dari satu. Nah, di situ jadi harus benar-benar dipastiin. Kemudian tadi pastikan bahwa semua datanya sudah tercopy dengan baik, terbackup dengan baik. Dan ini juga tadi dimention oleh Panji bahwa ketika sampai kita copy filenya ke dalam external drive 1, dan baik untuk memiliki 2 backup, tapi minimal 1 backup untuk FLAC-nya. Jadi satu external drive untuk yang wave files, 1 external drive untuk yang FLAC, itu sebenarnya udah bare minimum. Tapi kalau misalnya punya lebih, itu lebih bagus juga. Nah, di sini kita akan belajar untuk renaming dan juga mengconvert wave file ke FLAC files. Nah, tadi seperti yang Panji bilang bahwa Eminem dengan segala panjangnya teks, di sini tidak ada teks, tapi memang teman-teman sudah paham di sini bahwa wave dan AVE itu dia uncompressed, jadi filenya sangat besar, dan kita di sini akan mengkompres itu menjadi yang lossless atau FLAC, karena untuk keamanan data dan juga tidak menghilangkan data-data penting. Dan di sini mengenai keep track of data, teman-teman diminta dan disarankan untuk memiliki standar penamaan filenya. Di sini agak lebih berwarna daripada slide Panji yang sebelumnya. Jadi teman-teman diharapkan misalnya ada penamaan di depannya, ada institusi atau project ID-nya, kemudian sampel rate-nya yang digunakan ketika lagi instalasi alat perekamnya, site ID-nya. Kalau misalnya teman-teman punya site ID lebih dari 2, lebih dari 4, jadi baik untuk punya site ID. Kemudian di sini teman-teman juga kan punya 4 alat perekam, jadi baik untuk dinamakan misalnya Swift 1, Swift 2, Swift 3. Kemudian tanggal instalasi yang kami bisa sarankan ya tahun, bulan, tanggal. Kemudian untuk jamnya ini biasanya otomatis, tapi kalau misalnya teman-teman nanti akan ngambil, itu juga bisa dapat dari data yang keambilnya. Nah, di sini kita akan masuk ke dalam Raven Compass. Jadi apa itu Raven Compass? Raven Compass itu aplikasi yang dikembangkan oleh Raven Team dari Kali Sayang Center untuk manajemen pasif akustik recording. Nah, tujuan dari alat aplikasi ini yaitu untuk merename, menamai ulang, mengkompresi, dan juga reformat audio files. Jadi kita bisa punya data yang sudah terstandar untuk disimpan dan juga untuk digunakan analisis ke depannya. Nah, tadi yang bisa Raven Compass lakukan itu untuk penamaan, mengkompresi dari wave ke FLAC, jadi bukan wave ke MP3, karena MP3 dapat menghilangkan data-data pentingnya yang berguna untuk analisis, jadi kita harus ke FLAC. Kemudian dana tambahannya juga bisa untuk mengganti sample rate, gain, atau parameter lainnya. Cuman itu agak nanti pagi. Breakout room kita nanti lebih fokus kepada renaming dan juga melihat compress filenya seperti apa caranya. Ini salah satu interface dari Raven Compass. Nah, di sini kalau teman-teman udah sambil buka Raven Compass juga, bisa dilihat bahwa ada beberapa tab di situ. Kemudian salah satunya di yang bagian bawah, ada renaming atau rename. Di situ kalau misalnya ada ikutin project format dan project folder structure-nya, nanti kalau misalnya teman-teman pakai, itu bisa terstruktur foldernya, dan itu cukup bermanfaat buat teman-teman yang kalau misalnya nggak biasa dengan struktur folder yang folder nama, site recorder, dan lain sebagainya, ini bisa cukup membantu. Tapi kalau memang teman-teman udah punya sistem data manajemen sendiri, itu juga bisa nggak pakai cara ini, tapi ada cara yang lainnya. Nanti hanya sekedar renaming dengan penambahan di depan atau di belakang nama filenya. Nanti kita coba di dalam breakout room. Kemudian di sini juga teman-teman bisa lihat untuk input filenya dari mana, output filenya di mana, dan progres teman-teman kalau misalnya inputnya sudah berhasil atau dia dalam proses untuk renaming atau compressing. Dan juga kalau misalnya error, ada nanti di bagian bawahnya akan ada dijelaskan error dalam bagian apa, jadi teman-teman tahu kayak gimana cara untuk mengatasinya. Nah, ini nanti yang akan kita lakukan adalah converting dari wave files ke FLAC files. Jadi sebenarnya Raven Compass itu nggak cuma bisa ngekompres, tapi yang kayak tadi Kang Panji bilang juga, karena kita convertnya ke FLAC juga, bisa kita balikan dari FLAC ke wave lagi. Cuma memang makan waktu juga, jadi baiknya punya satu wave files, satu backup yang wave, satu backup yang FLAC. Ini juga ada beberapa tambahan interface lainnya yang nanti sekiranya bisa kita pelajari dalam breakout room. Nah, tadi aku lupa mention, teman-teman boleh tolong renaming namanya teman-teman. Misalnya teman-teman dari tim Cyclops Bird atau tim Lariang Tarsius, karena kita akan coba bagi timnya, bagi breakout roomnya berdasarkan tim. Boleh tolong bantu ganti nama teman-teman dulu. Habis ini baru nanti kita akan breakout room. Di dalam breakout room nanti harapannya mentor-mentor juga udah ada di sini, yang tujuannya untuk mensupport di dalam breakout roomnya. Apakah teman-teman
Ready to
sudah?
open? Oh, I see we have one question from Alfian.
Yep.
Oke. Suara saya terdengar.
Terdengar.
Nah, makasih Mbak Esther, Mas Panji atas pemateriannya. Nah, ini tadi kan Kak Esther bilang kalau lebih baik kita menyimpan dalam bentuk WAV file sama FLAC file. Nah, ini kalau penggunaan di lapangan itu biasanya gimana ya? Apa yang tidak bisa dilakukan FLAC file, tapi bisa kita harus konversi dulu ke WAV. Kalau ke FLAC file kan keuntungan kita kan lebih sedikit memorinya. Kalau WAV itu keuntungannya Pak untuk di lapangan.
Mau Kang Panji dulu apa aku dulu?
Oke, mungkin aku jawab sedikit ya. Sebenarnya kalau untuk kebanyakan yang akan kita pakai, software-software yang akan kita pakai di Bit, setauku tuh semuanya flag bisa. Cuman ketika ada penggunaan di luar itu, beberapa software bioakustik tuh ada yang nggak bisa flag gitu. Atau kalau misalnya menggunakan analisis menggunakan R atau Python, ada beberapa package yang dia nggak bisa pakai flag, harus pakai WAV dulu gitu. Lalu juga kalau misalnya teman-teman mau menyumbang datanya di-upload ke beberapa library seperti Senokanto, setahuku nggak bisa flag, setahuku harus WAV gitu. Kalau di eBird bisa, tapi kalau di Senokanto nggak bisa gitu. Ya ada banyak sebenarnya ininya kasusnya. Kayak saya mau nambahin.
Sebenarnya udah kejawab sama Kang Panji sih. Iya, jadi ada beberapa aplikasi yang cuma bisa baca wave files. Tapi benar kata Kang Panji bahwa untuk sementara yang kita pakai, dia bisa nge-cover, dia lebih meng-cover flag. Jadi kalau misalnya nanti teman-teman terutama untuk analisis pakai beberapa aplikasi yang tadi Kang Panji bilang, R atau Python tadi, itu hanya bisa pakai wave, nggak bisa pakai flag. Tapi kalau di lapangan untuk misalnya anotasi pakai Raven Pro, Raven Workbench, itu bisa pakai flag. Jadi kalau misalnya memang mau di lapangan aja yang ringan, sebenarnya bisa flag. Tapi kalau analisis yang lebih pakai appliance itu pakai ada yang cuma bisa wave aja, kayak gitu.
Oke, terima kasih.
Oke, ada yang mau bertanya lagi atau aman? Kalau aman, kita akan ke breakout room. Is everything good
Will I
there?
open the rooms, Esther?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I saw a message from Mas Asman. Yep,
Okay, I looked at the affiliations from everyone's name. I'm still getting to know everyone's name and team. So I combined some teams together if I just saw a few individuals. So hopefully this works out. I'll open the rooms now and yeah, see you back in about 20 minutes. We can do a check-in to see how everyone's doing. And we can stay some more time if need be. All right, opening them now. How did it go with Raven Compass? Were you able to get that up and running? Java and Leopard team?
Hello,
Hey, June.
how's everything going?
pretty well. Pretty good.
Wifi ku tiba-tiba tadi hilang dan oh my God, ada-ada aja terus.
Oke, Oke, sudah back ke main room semua ini. Hmm.
Let's do thumbs up for everyone who is able to rename and FLAC files in Compass. Nice. Opposable signs of progress. And I will say also, like Sean was mentioning, so I got the exercise instructions from Shopee, and I guess the provider of these instructions had one little mistake. And so I'm sorry for any confusion that you might have encountered. We'll correct this and post the corrected version on the Google Drive and then also on Canvas for future resource. And now I'll turn it back over to Esther and June and Riri to finish out today's session.
Okay, welcome back again, everyone, after breakout session. If there's anything still unclear, please ask. And before we move on to announcement from Riri, we like to invite Ben maybe to share any housekeeping reminders or important information.
I think the house is relatively kept at this point. All teams, it's getting time for your second mentorship meeting. And really after today's session, we're going to send out instructions about PR for each team to do between this session and session 6. And principally, that includes doing a recording test with your Swift ones, so programming them and deploying them for a limited period, at least one day, ideally in a habitat similar to where you're thinking of working, but even if it's close by, or even if it's in your apartment and you just want to ensure that the recorder is working and then that the schedule matches what you expected, that's very useful. And that's for you to do between this session and session 6. And then you can keep working with Raven Compass to ensure that you're confident in that. And yeah, so mentor meeting, and that's the PR. And now I'll turn it over to Riri, who has some exciting news to share.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Esther and June. Okay. Well, I believe everybody has known me. So I'm really from the networking team, and it is just a quick announcement that we are going to have a jam social meeting, and I have shared the poll on the group. It seems like we will have so far 19. I think it's more like 20-ish people have voted. Okay, more people. So, but the first week of each month on Mondays will be we will meet on Mondays every first week of each month. And now I think we haven't decided on the time yet, but we are planning to have it at 8 p.m. or do you guys prefer earlier time?
Earlier. For me,
Earlier
earlier
time.
is good for us.
Okay.
Also, probably earlier for the
Papua.
teams, yeah.
Okay. Like 7 p.m. perhaps? 7 p.m. will work. 7, I will 7 p.m. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, then all right. So we will have Jam Social on Mondays every first Monday of each month on at 7 p.m. to 8. So usually Jam Social will last for like an hour, but it can be longer depending on what we're going to talk about. So basically, it is like a very free and relaxed time for everybody here. It is not a training session. It is it is more like a free hour, a happy hour for Beat program to connect with other members of the Beat community. You can talk to other teams, you can share experiences, or probably just like maybe you have troubleshoot like some troubles or some weird stories or ghost stories, whatever you want. You can always share that or those stories during jam social. If you have also any problems regarding your equipment, we can also share that during jam social so that the mentors or everybody can help. Or if it can be resolved during jam social, that's good. But it, if that cannot be resolved within an hour, then we can always share that with the other mentors, and probably we will open a separate discussion for that. So basically, please feel free to come. You can bring your coffee, you can bring your snacks, whatever. Um, no worries. It's not going to be recorded. So this is the only session during the BEAT program that is not going to be recorded. There's no breakout rooms, no recorded, no records. So you are free to say anything you like. It is also a good time to give us feedback for us to be better as organizers. So okay. I saw some surprise from Inda. In this meeting, we have Inda, we have Mas Asman. I haven't seen Zia though. But there are three of us from the networking team that will host the jam social session. It can be Mas Asman, it can be Inda, or Zia, or me. Okay, I think that's all from me, Esther and June. I will post the invitation soon enough on the group. Yeah, I think I will return the screen to June and Esther. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Riri. Okay, before we wrap up, are there any question would like to discuss? No, yeah? Okay, if not, we'll move to the closing, I guess. So once again, thank you so much to all the BIT participants for taking time to join tonight training session. We hope this session help everyone prepare for your research plan, deployment, and upcoming field activities with your team. And remember, never hesitate to ask question about whatever you want to ask to mentors, trainers, especially in jam social letter with Riri. Yeah. Oh, okay. So before we all return to our natural habitat and sleep, let's continue to our tradition with group photo. Okay, ready everyone? Please show your beautiful face. Okay. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm gonna go to next page. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, thank you everyone. If there were any mistakes or anything that was not delivered perfectly tonight, especially in my computer drama before, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm so embarrassing. And thank you again for everyone. Thank you Esther, thank you Panji, thank you Ben Garisman. And have a wonderful evening, everyone. Stay safe and see you the next BIT training session. So thank you. Bye-bye
Thank you
all.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.